It's the 5th of July, 2021. As I was tuning in before I started the video, I wanted to check in to feel like I usually do, what's going on? And what I recognized was a lot of brain activity. And I did speak to this a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, it's back. Okay, so what's going on with that? What I want to share has a lot to do with this energy frequency in which time and space are sort of collapsing. But what I'm trying to share with you isn't necessarily super easy to convey in words for a couple of reasons. One of which is I can find being in these higher states of consciousness a little bit tricky when there's so much information going on and there's all this activity going on, let's say reconfiguring my own brain. I will also say that I do not use drugs. I haven't used any, recreational prescription drugs or anything like that since 1987. So the information that I bring is really coming from these natural altered states from which I access higher realms of consciousness. So many years ago, what I was seeing with people is a lot of energy coming in around the throat and around the heart, really trying to open up that throat chakra, speaking our truth, aligning with our truth, discovering, ways to be in the world in our speech, in our messages. And also around that heart in terms of opening up to the present, opening up to each other, opening up to love consciousness, and really just opening this whole, area. Now what's going on, it seems to be going on for a lot of people, is a lot of brain activity. And I'm specifically seeing the left side, left being intuitive, our divine feminine, where we're receiving information, learning how to tap into our own intuitive knowing, but also our remembrance of who we actually are on a soul level, and that we are connected into unity consciousness, into the all that is. So with that pattern happening, what's going on is, as these frequencies are kind of upgrading and as we're trying to adapt, what I'm seeing is that there may be some shifts in awareness. It could be that the day seems quite ordinary to you, and then suddenly you're kind of seeing through, let's say, space and time a little bit, or that you can't remember, days of the week. So again, this has a lot to do with space and time. It could show up as losing things, because like, where did I put that? I put it somewhere in space at a certain time. But this is really more about the two energies of almost like time collapsing in essence, into an ever-present remembrance of the now, where other realities are happening at the same time, and we might feel and experience more glimpses of that. So again, a little tricky to explain. What I will share is that since I lost my husband, I have had many dreams about him, obviously, and my mom. I've had dreams about both of them. But in particular, I've had visitations as well from my husband, in which I can tell the difference between communicating with him in this dream state and actually just dreaming about him. And I did have such experience a couple of nights ago. It might have even been last night, but again, I'm in this sort of like, I can't really remember this time thing. And in that place, there was a connection of connecting to his soul, talking to him. And it was very different. It was like, he was coming to me in a dream, right? During my dream, because that's the place that I'm most receptive. And in that way, what I saw was this possibility or this connection. Let me describe it a little differently. It's as if these two timelines of what was and what is are converging, but something a little bit different. So I want to say, again, this is really hard to speak to, that when I do readings, I can see all kinds of interesting things, and I can see how it's easy for me to tap into other realms, no big deal. But what was different, or what I'm explaining now that's different, is there just seems to be more of a convergence of time and space in a way that our minds can grasp a little bit more in the 3D. Again, this probably doesn't fully make sense because I am struggling to find the right words, but I guess what I'm inviting you to do is start to notice and witness where you feel perhaps very disconnected to time or space, or where you'll find yourself in a time and space and go, what just happened? How did I get here? Or when you might suddenly not have a deja vu from a long time ago, but a sense of the future or another reality happening right now. So just these different senses that are different than perhaps other mystical experiences that you're maybe used to. So with that, I'm hoping this made enough sense to help you in some way, this week. And I look forward to connecting again next week.